The universe was a vast, mysterious place. It was a galaxy full of powerful beings, where wars had been fought for centuries, civilizations rose and fell, and the fates of entire species were decided by the strength of their weapons and technologies. In this never-ending battle for supremacy, one thing was certain: the strongest species always ruled, or so they thought. Far away, on a small, seemingly insignificant planet called Earth, humans were busy living their everyday lives, unaware of the power they were about to awaken. Life on Earth was ordinary, or at least, it seemed ordinary. People went to work, schools, and homes, struggling with their own daily battles, big and small. But there was something about these humans, something that no one in the galaxy had noticed before. It started on a quiet afternoon. A group of humans, gathered in a park, began laughing. At first, it was just a few. Maybe a joke, a moment of happiness. But as more joined in, the laughter began to grow louder, echoing across the land. It was a sound unlike any the universe had heard before, wild, pure, and powerful. As the laughter spread, something strange happened. Across the galaxy, alien races started to feel it. The sound reached them like a shockwave. They felt it in their minds, in their hearts. Something was wrong. Something was different. The first species to notice were the Zyran, an ancient race of conquerors known for their cruelty and technology. They had invaded countless worlds, destroying civilizations with ease. The Zyran were used to war. They knew how to crush any rebellion, how to break any species that dared to defy them. But this was something they had never encountered before. When their leaders heard about the laughter coming from Earth, they didn't think much of it. A silly sound, they said, nothing to worry about. But as they listened more, they began to feel unease. The laughter wasn't just a noise. It was a force, a strange energy that seemed to carry something far beyond simple amusement. It was a sign that something was awakening, something far stronger than any weapon the Zyran had ever seen. They decided to investigate. The Zyran fleet approached Earth with stealth, determined to find out what this strange laughter meant. Their ships cut through the stars, dark and silent, like shadows moving across the night sky. But when they arrived, they found something they hadn't expected. The humans weren't afraid. In fact, they didn't even know the aliens were there. They were too busy laughing. People in the streets, in their homes, and even in schools were laughing. It wasn't the nervous laughter of fear or discomfort. It was genuine, joyful laughter, something the Zyran couldn't understand. For the Zyran, emotions were foreign, tools to be controlled and manipulated. But this laughter was different. It felt like a threat. The Zyran commander, a ruthless being known as Kar, stared at the humans below from his ship. He couldn't comprehend what he was seeing. Why weren't they scared? Why weren't they trembling in fear, like every other species they had conquered? No, these humans were laughing as though they knew something that no one else did. It wasn't just laughter, it was defiance, it was strength. Xer's second-in-command, a sharp-eyed alien named Vela, watched with growing concern. "Commander, we must prepare. This is not ordinary. I sense something deeper here. We don't know what these creatures are capable of." Xer's mind raced. The Zyran had never faced anything like this. They had conquered countless worlds with their military might, but they had never encountered a species that could resist their power in such a strange way. The more they watched the humans laugh, the more they felt something change within themselves. It was like a wave of energy, something primal that stirred deep inside them. But the Zyran were warriors, and warriors did not hesitate. Without another word, Xar ordered the attack. "Destroy them," he commanded. "Bring their planet to its knees. This laughter must be silenced." The Zyran ships fired their weapons, sending beams of energy crashing down to Earth. Buildings exploded, trees turned to ash, and the sky was lit up with the fire of war. The humans scattered, but the laughter didn't stop. It only grew louder, stronger, as though the very fabric of the planet was alive with it. Zer couldn't understand it. How could they still laugh when their world was being torn apart? But then, something extraordinary happened. As the Zyran weapons rained down, a strange energy pulsed from Earth's surface. The laughter, once just a sound, now became a force. The ground trembled, the air crackled with energy, and the Zyran ships began to shake. Their weapons malfunctioned. Their technology, the most advanced in the galaxy, began to fail. It wasn't the humans' technology that was causing it. It was the laughter. Zar's ships suddenly found themselves unable to focus, their weapons misfiring and their systems glitching. The laughter, pure and unrelenting, was disrupting their most advanced technology. The Zyran were helpless. The more they tried to attack, the stronger the laughter became. The humans didn't even seem to notice the destruction happening around them. They kept laughing. It wasn't just laughter, it was a power. A power that the Zyran could not control, and worse yet, one that they couldn't understand. For the first time in history, the invaders were losing control. The universe was beginning to notice. The laughter had awakened something far greater than anyone could imagine, and the humans had no idea what they had just started. The Zyran fleet hovered ominously above Earth, its shadow falling over the planet as their warships loomed like predators ready to strike. Zar, the commander of the fleet, stood at the bridge of his flagship, staring out into the chaos below. The planet that had once seemed insignificant was now a riddle, a puzzle he couldn't solve. The humans, with their strange laughter, had disrupted everything. The Zyran's most advanced technologies were useless here, and despite their superior firepower, they hadn't made any progress in quelling the laughter that was now echoing across the land. It was unnerving, infuriating, and more than anything, it made Xar feel vulnerable. "We underestimated them," Vela, the second in command, said as she approached, her eyes scanning the human cities beneath them. "The laughter, it's not just a noise. It's affecting our systems. It's like their entire planet is alive with energy." Xer clenched his fists, anger surging through him. "This can't be happening," he muttered. "How can they be so resilient? How is this even possible?" Vela's gaze softened, her voice steady. "Perhaps we should reconsider. This isn't the typical war we know. The humans, despite their primitive nature, have something we can't comprehend." Xer turned sharply toward her. "Reconsider? We're Zyran. We conquer, we destroy. That's what we do. We don't back down." "But Commander," Vela pressed, her voice quiet yet firm, "they're laughing. How can something so joyful, so simple, bring down the most advanced technology in the galaxy? Perhaps this laughter isn't just a weapon. Perhaps it's something we haven't seen before, something that could change the entire balance of power in the universe." Xer turned back toward the viewport, his mind racing. The laughter continued to fill the air, its strange vibrations piercing through the silence of space. He had no answer. The more he tried to destroy Earth, the more he was forced to admit it. He didn't understand what was happening. Meanwhile, on the ground, the humans were still laughing. They didn't know what was going on or why their laughter was causing such a stir. To them, it was simply a moment of joy, something that felt right deep inside. Laughter had always been a natural part of their existence, a release from the tension of their lives. But now it was more than that. It was their weapon, their strength. As they laughed, they could feel it, like an invisible force that connected them all. The energy was building, rippling through them, but they didn't know how to control it. They didn't even know they needed to. In a small city on the outskirts of one of the world's largest continents, a group of humans had gathered in a park, still unaware of the alien invasion. They were just ordinary people, no soldiers, no heroes, just men, women, and children, united by the simple joy of laughter. Samantha, a teacher, wiped a tear from her eye as she laughed with her friends. "I swear, I haven't laughed this much in years," she said, gasping for breath. Her friend Mark, a scientist, nodded in agreement. "It feels like I can breathe easier," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "Like there's a weight lifted off my chest. I've never felt so alive." As they laughed, something began to change within them. It was subtle at first, just a feeling. A surge of warmth, a deep sense of connection. But then it grew. It was like a spark had ignited in their very beings, and it spread through them like wildfire. Each laugh seemed to echo with power. Each burst of joy sent a ripple through the air. And the more they laughed, the stronger they felt. It wasn't just physical strength. It was something deeper, something more primal. It was a connection to each other, to their planet, and to the very universe around them. They didn't understand it. They didn't need to. They were simply enjoying the moment. But the Xiren felt it. They were watching, and they were terrified. Xar's voice cracked through the tense silence on the bridge of his flagship. "Prepare to attack again. We need to silence this laughter now, before it spreads any further. The humans are too unpredictable." "We've tried every weapon, Commander," Vela reminded him, her voice calm but urgent. "Nothing works. We can't even get a clear shot at them. Their laughter, it's distorting everything." Xer stared at the holographic map of Earth, his fingers trembling with frustration. His fleet had bombarded the planet with everything they had: energy beams, missiles, even their most advanced disruptor cannons. But each strike seemed to fuel the humans' laughter instead of stopping it. The more destruction they caused, the more the laughter grew, like a fire feeding off the very chaos they created. "We need to stop this now," Xar said, his tone final. "We have to find a way to break them, to stop this laughter before it grows out of control." But as he spoke, he saw something on the scanners that made his blood run cold. A new surge of energy was emanating from the humans, a wave that rippled across the planet's surface, sending shockwaves through their ships. This isn't just laughter anymore," Vela said, her voice filled with disbelief. "This is something more, something alive." The Xiren ships, once so confident in their superiority, were now shaken. They could feel the energy, and they could no longer deny it. The humans had something they couldn't control, something that could destroy them. Something that was far beyond the Xiren's technology, far beyond anything they had ever seen before. On Earth, the laughter continued. It grew louder. And with every laugh, the humans felt something new, something they couldn't explain. But it didn't matter. They weren't going to stop. They weren't going to let fear take over. They had discovered something far more powerful than weapons, and they were about to find out just how far it could take them. The universe was watching, and for the first time, the Xiren realized they might not be the ones in control anymore. The battle had just begun. As the laughter continued to resonate across the globe, it took on a life of its own. Earth, once a quiet planet nestled in the vastness of space, was now awakening in a way no one could have anticipated. The Xiren fleet, perched above the atmosphere, could only watch as the humans below grew bolder, their laughter rising in unison, as if it were a call to arms. But this wasn't like any weapon the Xiren had ever encountered. It wasn't a sound that could be silenced, nor was it an energy that could be blocked. It was something different. Xer sat in the darkened command room of his flagship, his eyes narrowed in concentration. The glowing holographic display in front of him showed the mass of human cities across the continents, their lights twinkling like stars. But beneath the surface, there was something else, an undercurrent of energy that radiated outward from every single human on the planet. It was almost as though the laughter was a signal, spreading from one human to another, amplifying itself until it had reached every corner of Earth. "Commander, the laughter's intensity is growing," Vela reported, her voice tinged with concern. "It's affecting our systems again. We've never encountered anything like this." Xer clenched his jaw, his fists tightening. This wasn't just a nuisance anymore. The humans were tapping into something beyond their understanding, and their laughter, their inexplicable joy, was now disrupting their ability to maintain control. The Zyran fleet, the most powerful force in the galaxy, was being made to look like fools by a simple emotion. "We need to move faster," Dar growled, his eyes darting across the star maps that filled the walls of the command center. "We've tried everything. Weapons, shields, even the disruptor beams. Nothing works." Vela hesitated, her gaze drifting toward the Earth's surface, where the laughter still echoed through the atmosphere. "What if we're looking at this wrong, Commander?" she asked. "What if the laughter isn't the threat itself, but what it's awakening? Perhaps it's not just a sound. It's a force, a vibration that's resonating with something deep within the planet." Gzera furrowed his brow. "You mean the humans are somehow drawing on the energy of their planet?" Vela nodded slowly. "It's possible. The Earth's atmosphere is rich in minerals, and we've already seen signs that the human energy is growing in sync with it. What if the laughter is acting as a catalyst for something more powerful, something we don't fully understand?" Gzera stared out of the viewport, watching the swirling masses of ships above Earth. It had been clear for centuries that humanity was weak, primitive, nothing more than a mere speck in the vastness of the universe. But now, with their laughter, they had managed to tap into something that no one, not even the Zyran, could control. The realization hit him like a thunderclap. If they didn't act soon, this strange human power could grow beyond even the Zyran's capabilities. Below, on Earth's surface, the laughter had turned into something truly formidable. It was no longer just sound. It was a vibration that seemed to resonate from the very core of the planet. The humans, unaware of the consequences, continued to laugh, unaware of the changes they were setting in motion. But as they did, strange occurrences began to unfold. In a laboratory in North America, a group of scientists studying the energy waves created by the laughter were stunned by what they saw on their instruments. The data showed an unprecedented spike in energy levels, far beyond anything they had ever encountered. It was as if the very atoms in the air were vibrating to the rhythm of the laughter, amplifying it, building it into something more. This is impossible," Dr. Maria Torres, the lead scientist, muttered, her fingers trembling as she read the readings. "We've never seen anything like this. The energy isn't just coming from the humans, it's coming from the Earth itself." She turned to her colleagues, her voice rising with a mixture of excitement and fear. "The planet is reacting to their laughter. It's like the two are interconnected. If we can't find a way to harness this energy, it could have global, no, universal, implications." Meanwhile, in a remote part of Africa, a small group of indigenous people gathered by a river, their faces lit by the flickering firelight. They had heard the laughter too, and although they didn't fully understand what was happening, they could feel the power rising in the air around them. There was a legend in their tribe, passed down from generations, about a force hidden deep within the planet, a power that could be awakened only in moments of great joy. They had never believed it could be real, but now, as they listened to the laughter that seemed to echo through the very ground beneath them, they couldn't help but wonder if this was the awakening the legends had foretold. The laughter was no longer confined to any one place. It had spread, uniting humans across continents. From the busy streets of New York to the quiet hills of rural Asia, from the crowded markets of Europe to the deserts of the Middle East, the sound filled the air. And as it did, the Earth responded. Energy rippled outward, its presence felt in every corner of the planet. Nature itself seemed to bend to the force of the laughter. Trees swayed, rivers surged with more vigor, and the sky shifted, swirling with strange, swirling colors. The Zyran, still monitoring from above, were beginning to panic. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were paying the price. Every attempt to bombard the planet with weapons only seemed to fuel the laughter. Every missile launched, every laser beam fired, only made the energy grow. The humans were becoming a force beyond control, and Xar knew that the Zyran fleet was running out of options. "Commander," Vela said, her voice filled with unease. "The laughter. It's not just affecting our technology. It's affecting our minds too." I can feel it. Something in the air. Something pulling at me. We need to retreat, or we risk losing ourselves to this power. But Xar, too proud to admit defeat, refused to back down. No, we will not retreat. We must destroy the source of this laughter, or we will lose everything. Yet, deep down, Xar knew the truth. The Xaren were no longer in control. The humans had awoken something they couldn't stop. The universe had always been a place of power, war, and destruction. But now, for the first time, the humans had discovered something even more dangerous than any weapon. They had discovered the power of joy. And as the laughter continued to rise, the universe took notice. The Xaren fleet, high above Earth's surface, continued to watch in silent disbelief. The humans below, once thought to be insignificant and primitive, were now altering the very fabric of reality with their laughter. What had once been a mere sound, a signal of joy, had transformed into something incomprehensible. It was no longer just an emotional outburst. It was a weapon, an energy source, and a signal to the universe itself. Xar paced back and forth in the command room, frustration evident on his face. His hands clenched at his sides as he tried to make sense of the strange occurrence. "We've never faced anything like this," he muttered under his breath. "We underestimated them. We thought we were the supreme force in the universe, but this is beyond our understanding." Vela stood silently by the viewport, her mind reeling. "Commander, the data we've gathered, it suggests the humans have awakened something buried deep within their planet. Their laughter is not just a reaction to the event itself. It's an integral part of the Earth's energy system. We've seen similar fluctuations before, but never this intense." Xar paused. "So the planet is responding to them?" "Yes," Vela replied. "The planet is acting as a conduit. The humans may not even be aware of it, but their laughter is resonating with the Earth's natural frequencies. It's as though they've tapped into an ancient energy source, one that even the Xaren never imagined existed." Xar's eyes narrowed. The possibility of an energy source like this being within their reach was both exhilarating and terrifying. If they could control it, they would be invincible. But that was no longer the goal. Their technology, their weapons, everything they had relied on for centuries, was useless in the face of this strange new power. "Send out the probes," Xar commanded. "If the laughter is what's awakening this force, then we need to understand it. Inside and out, we must find a way to harness it before the humans become unstoppable." Vela hesitated. "And if we can't control it?" Xar turned sharply, his eyes filled with an intensity that made Vela step back. "Then we will have to destroy it, whatever it takes." On Earth, the effects of the laughter were becoming more pronounced. In the quiet town of Eldridge, a man named Aaron stood on his porch. Looking up at the sky, he had heard the laughter, a sound so contagious that it had swept through the town like wildfire. At first, it had been strange, unsettling even, but now, there was an undeniable energy in the air. It was as if the very atmosphere had shifted, charged with the laughter that spread from person to person, uniting them in a way no one had ever imagined. Aaron wasn't the only one who felt it. Across the globe, people were reporting strange phenomena. The energy caused subtle shifts in the environment. Winds picked up unexpectedly. Trees seemed to vibrate with a rhythmic hum, and colors in the sky appeared more vivid than ever before. Animals, too, seemed to be drawn to the laughter. Birds perched in unison on power lines, their songs harmonizing with the humans' laughter. In remote villages, people gathered in fields, their laughter filling the air and blending with the sounds of nature. Dr. Maria Torres, the scientist from earlier, was in a laboratory halfway across the world, still working tirelessly to decipher the data from her instruments. The readings had grown even more erratic. It was no longer a simple energy spike. It had become a consistent pulse, a rhythm that was growing stronger every second. The laughter, she now realized, wasn't just triggering a response from Earth. It was synchronizing with something older, something beyond human comprehension. The planet was awakening to this frequency, and in turn, so was the universe. In a research facility hidden deep in the mountains, a group of astrophysicists had been monitoring deep space for years, hoping to detect any signs of extraterrestrial activity. The laughter that was now reverberating across Earth had caught their attention in the most unexpected way. A strange, unknown signal had begun to emerge from the depths of space, perfectly aligned with the laughter on Earth. It was as if the universe itself was responding to the humans' newfound power. What does this mean? Dr. Jonathan Lee, the lead astrophysicist, asked, his voice tinged with awe. This signal, it's not random. It's coming from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. It's almost as if something or someone is trying to communicate. His colleague, Dr. Emily Chen, shook her head, stunned by the revelation. But the signal, it's in sync with the laughter. We need to notify the others. This is bigger than we thought. Meanwhile, across the globe, the effects of the laughter began to take a darker turn. It was no longer just a moment of joy. Something far deeper, far older, was beginning to stir. The Earth was no longer just a passive observer in this strange dance. It was becoming an active participant. The laughter had awoken something buried deep within the planet, and now it was responding to the frequency of human emotion. Back in space, the Zyran fleet remained helpless, unable to even begin to fathom what was happening. As they watched, the laughter continued to swell in intensity. The entire planet seemed to be vibrating with it, and they realized something terrifying. They weren't just facing a force of nature, they were facing a force of existence itself. The universe was watching. It wasn't just humans that were affected anymore. The entire cosmic order was beginning to shift. The laughter was no longer confined to the boundaries of Earth. It had become a beacon, a signal that resonated across galaxies. The Zyran fleet wasn't the only one that was beginning to take notice. Somewhere, far beyond their reach, a far greater power was aware of the disturbance humans had caused. A force that had remained dormant for eons, waiting for this exact moment, when humanity would unknowingly unlock a force of unimaginable potential. The laughter had awakened something primal, something that not even the Zyran could control. Now, humanity had no idea that it had set in motion a chain of events that would alter the future of the entire universe. The true power of the humans' laughter was only beginning to unfold. The Zyran fleet hovered ominously in the dark expanse of space, poised at the edge of a decision that could change the course of their existence. Zar stood in the command room, his mind racing. The laughter, human laughter, had escalated into something that no one, not even the Zyran, had expected. It was no longer just a source of wonder, it was a threat. A force that could either elevate humanity to a level of unimaginable power or destroy everything in its path. Send the command, Xar ordered, his voice cold and determined. We have no choice. We must neutralize the signal. If the humans control this energy, they will become a force we can't fight. Vela, standing by the communications console, hesitated before following orders. She had seen something in the laughter, something beyond what Xar saw. She couldn't explain it, but there was a deeper connection to the energy resonating from Earth. She knew that the Zyran weren't the only ones who had been drawn to it. What if we can't control it? Vela asked quietly, as though afraid of the answer. What if it's too late? Xar's eyes narrowed. We must act quickly, or it will be too late for all of us. As the orders were relayed to the fleet, Xar turned his attention to the holographic display in front of him. Earth was no longer just a blue and green speck in the vast emptiness of space. It was pulsing, throbbing with energy, the source of which was an enigma. The laughter had become a beacon in the dark, drawing the attention of not only the Zyran, but every life form capable of perceiving it. Back on Earth, the changes were becoming more apparent. People everywhere could feel it, this strange energy that surged through them when they laughed. It wasn't just joy anymore, it was power. The air around them seemed to vibrate with it. No longer just an emotional response, laughter had become something physical, something real. Some people reported seeing faint lights flicker in the air around them as they laughed. Others felt a sudden surge of warmth, as though the earth itself was responding to their emotional outbursts. Dr. Maria Torres was in her lab once again, surrounded by her instruments and readings. The data was no longer just erratic, it was becoming dangerously unstable. The laughter was evolving into something else entirely, something beyond the bounds of what science could explain. She could feel the urgency building within her. The laughter wasn't just changing the planet, it was changing everything about their reality. The laws of physics, the nature of energy, nothing seemed to behave the way it should. We need to figure out what this truly is, Maria said to herself, reviewing the recent data. We have to understand what we're dealing with before it spirals out of control. Across the world, people were beginning to sense something more, a presence, an awareness, as though the universe itself was listening to them. The laughter, once a simple human expression of joy, had turned into a cosmic event. The vibrations that emanated from Earth were becoming increasingly synchronized with the rest of the universe's hidden energies. The Earth was no longer alone in its newfound power. Meanwhile, in space, far beyond the Zyran fleet, a new force began to stir. It was ancient, powerful, and unknowable. The laughter had awakened something deep within the fabric of the universe itself, a consciousness that had slumbered for millennia. And now it had noticed the humans. It had been waiting for the right moment, a moment when humanity would unknowingly breach the veil between the known and the unknown. Deep in the void, a voice that had been silent for eons began to speak. "Awaken," it whispered, its voice reverberating across the vast expanse of space. "The children of Earth have ignited the spark. It is time to remember." On Earth, this unseen force began to manifest in subtle ways. People who had been laughing moments ago felt a sudden chill run down their spine. It was as though something had passed through them, something ancient and powerful, and it was no longer bound by time or space. They couldn't understand it, but they knew something was shifting in the air. Aaron, the man from Eldridge, stood in his yard, still reeling from the sensation he had just felt. It wasn't just the laughter anymore. It was something deeper, something that pulled at his very soul. He felt connected to the universe in a way that defied logic. His heart raced as he looked to the sky. The stars above seemed to blink and twinkle in an unusual pattern, like they were responding to something. His laughter, maybe, or something beyond that. He wasn't alone. All over the world, people were experiencing the same thing. A connection to the cosmos, an awareness that something was watching, listening, and responding to them. What had begun as a simple, joyful act had now evolved into something far more significant. The laughter was no longer just a symbol of human joy. It was a call, a summons to the unknown. In the days that followed, governments and organizations scrambled to understand the phenomenon. The laughter had disrupted not only the natural order but the very fabric of reality. Leaders from across the globe began to gather in emergency meetings, but there was no consensus on what to do. Some wanted to shut down the signal, eliminate the laughter altogether, while others saw it as a sign of something greater, something they didn't fully understand. At the same time, the Zyran fleet prepared for their final strike. Tsar, unwavering in his belief that the laughter was a threat to their dominion, watched as the ships powered up ready to fire. The fate of humanity rested in the balance. He knew that if the laughter continued to grow unchecked, it could become a force too powerful for even the Zyran to control. The universe itself was now at risk. But in the silent depths of space, the ancient force stirred once more. It had watched long enough. The time had come for the universe to witness the full power of the humans' laughter. And this time, it would not be ignored. As the Zyran ships closed in, the laughter on Earth reached a new crescendo. It wasn't just humanity that could hear it now, it was the entire universe. And it was only a matter of time before every living being, every force in existence, would understand the true power of the human spirit. The game was changing, and no one knew what the final outcome would be. The Zyran fleet was closing in on Earth, its vast armada of ships poised to deliver their strike. Yet there was something unsettling in the air, something that even Tsar, the commanding officer, couldn't ignore. The laughter, a simple human expression, had evolved beyond anything he could have anticipated. What once seemed like a harmless quirk had become a force that sent ripples through the very fabric of the universe. The moment he had feared was now at hand. The Zyran might have underestimated the humans, and that mistake could cost them everything. Xur stood at the helm of his flagship, his eyes narrowing as the holographic displays of Earth flashed in front of him. The laughter from the planet wasn't just a signal anymore. It was a cosmic disturbance. His fleet had tracked it, analyzed it, and yet they still couldn't grasp its true nature. What had started as human laughter had become an intricate, unknowable frequency, a powerful wave that resonated deep into space. "They're adapting faster than we thought," Xar muttered under his breath, watching as the Earth seemed to glow in response. "Their energy is expanding. We can't wait any longer." His voice crackled in the comms, and the crew members around him sprang into action, preparing for the mission. The Zyran weren't known for mercy, and they had never hesitated to neutralize a threat. But something about this situation gnawed at Star. Something about the laughter didn't sit right. Meanwhile, on Earth, the tension among the global leaders had reached a boiling point. The laughter had become too powerful, too unpredictable. No one could explain what was happening, and people all over the world were starting to feel the consequences. Some said it was a sign of an impending apocalypse. Others believed it was a gift, a power that could change everything for humanity. But no one knew for sure. Governments were scrambling to control the chaos, but it was becoming increasingly clear that there was no turning back. Dr. Maria Torres had been monitoring the situation from her lab, the data flooding in faster than she could process it. The laughter, once a strange anomaly, had now shifted into something more, something that seemed to be communicating with the very core of the universe. The readings on her screen were beyond anything she had ever encountered. It was as if the laughter had awakened something ancient, something that had been dormant for millennia. Maria stood before her console, staring at the swirling patterns of energy that had formed above Earth. It was like the planet itself was breathing, pulsating with the laughter's energy. For the first time, Maria realized that humanity might not be the only ones affected. Something else, something much older and far more powerful, was awakening in response. And then, the unexpected happened. The first wave of Zyran ships arrived in Earth's atmosphere, cutting through the atmosphere like meteors streaking across the sky. They were armed and ready to do what they had come for, to stop the source of the laughter. They had been tracking the signal for weeks, and now, with their weapons primed, they were prepared to silence it for good. But the moment they entered Earth's atmosphere, something shifted. The laughter grew louder, more intense. The sky itself seemed to ripple with the sound, a cosmic hum that reverberated deep into the core of every ship. Xar's face went pale as the ships around him began to experience the unexpected effects. The energy from the laughter seemed to disrupt their systems, causing them to malfunction. The laughter was no longer just a force. It was a living presence that seemed to reach out and touch the very fabric of their technology. "Activate shields," Xar ordered, but his voice was laced with uncertainty. Now, the shields engaged, but they flickered in and out, struggling against the energy that was now coming from the planet. The Zyran ships were not designed to withstand anything like this. It wasn't just an attack. It was a wave of consciousness, something that bent the very rules of physics. As the laughter echoed through the ship's systems, Xur's mind raced. Was this the humans doing? Had they somehow unlocked the power to alter the fabric of reality? Or was there something else at play? Something beyond even the Zyran's understanding. Back on Earth, people were beginning to notice. The ground trembled beneath their feet, and the sky above seemed to shimmer with a strange light. The laughter had taken on a life of its own, and it was no longer something that could be ignored. People felt it in their bones, in their hearts, in their very souls. It was as if the universe itself was alive, and responding to their laughter. Aaron stood in his yard once more, looking up at the sky. He could feel it. He could feel the shift in the air, the change in the way the world seemed to be reacting to their laughter. It was like a pulse, a heartbeat that resonated from the very depths of space. The stars above flickered in time with the sound of human laughter. It was no longer just a human phenomenon. It had become something far greater. Then the ground beneath him began to shake, a low hum building in the distance. He looked up and saw them. Zyran ships descending from the sky. Their massive forms cast dark shadows over the earth as they prepared for their invasion. But even as they approached, something strange happened. The laughter, which had been chaotic and unpredictable, began to synchronize, a single note of harmony that filled the atmosphere. It was as if the earth itself was now in perfect tune with the cosmos. And that was when it became clear to everyone. This was not just a battle for Earth. It was a battle for the very fabric of existence itself. As the Zyran ships closed in, their weapons prepared to strike, the laughter reached a new crescendo, vibrating through the air like a sonic boom. It was the final warning. The universe had watched as humanity's laughter became a force that no one, not even the most advanced civilizations, could ignore. And now, the universe would decide who would control this unimaginable power. Xer watched helplessly as his fleet continued to falter. There was no plan, no backup. They had underestimated the humans, and now they were facing a force they couldn't comprehend. The laughter wasn't just a threat. It was a weapon, and it had the potential to change everything. The battle had begun, and no one knew how it would end. The battle for Earth had begun in earnest. The Zyran fleet, once so confident in their superiority, now found themselves battling against something they could neither understand nor control. The laughter that had once been dismissed as a mere human quirk had become their greatest adversary. It wasn't just the energy that disrupted their ships. It was the way it resonated with their very beings. The Zyran had never encountered an enemy like this, something that could manipulate the fundamental rules of reality itself. In the heart of the chaos, Xar watched as his fleet's systems continued to malfunction, and he knew they were running out of time. The human laughter, now amplified and synchronized, was like an unstoppable force, a living wave of energy that spread across the planet. The laughter wasn't just on Earth anymore. It was everywhere. The sound itself had become a tangible thing, a presence in the air, the stars, the very fabric of space itself. No matter how much the Zyran tried to counter it, the laughter only grew stronger. "Send the signal to the High Command," Xar ordered, his voice tight with frustration. "We need reinforcements. The human force is unlike anything we've encountered." His second-in-command, a stoic officer named Torek, turned to him with a worried expression. "Commander, the laughter is causing interference across all channels. We can't even communicate with the fleet. It's as if they've hijacked our very existence." Xer's mind raced. The Zyran had been studying human culture for centuries, observing them from a distance, but they had underestimated the power that lay hidden within humanity. Laughter, a simple emotion that had evolved into something far beyond what the Zyran could comprehend, had now become the weapon that could potentially end their reign over the galaxy. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the effects of the laughter had reached their peak. The energy emanating from the planet was now visible to the naked eye, a swirling mass of light and sound that enveloped the sky. People stood together in awe and terror, watching as the laughter transformed their world. Some believed they were witnessing the end of times, while others felt a strange sense of hope. Whatever was happening, it was clear that the Earth was no longer the same. Humanity had tapped into something ancient and unknowable. Maria Torres, the brilliant scientist who had spent so many sleepless nights studying the laughter's effects, had a sudden epiphany. The laughter wasn't just a frequency. It was a key that had unlocked something far greater than they could have ever imagined. It was as if the universe itself was responding to the human experience, reacting to the frequency that had been created by millennia of human laughter, struggle, joy, and pain. The realization struck her like a bolt of lightning. Humanity had always been a part of something larger, something vast and interconnected, but now they had tapped into a force that transcended their own understanding. The laughter wasn't just a signal. It was a bridge to a power beyond comprehension. It was the connection between all living things, a bond that could alter the very nature of reality. As Maria hurriedly relayed her findings to the global leaders, she realized that the Zyran were not just invading Earth. They were intruding on the very essence of existence. The laughter, once thought of as nothing more than a biological reaction, was now something that could shape the future of the universe. Aaron, standing in the middle of the chaos, felt the power of the laughter surge through him. It was as if he was no longer just a man. He was a vessel for something much greater, something that had been waiting for humanity to awaken it. As the laughter continued to grow, he could feel it, the collective energy of every human on Earth, every laugh, every joyful moment, every shared experience. It was all converging, feeding into the cosmic pulse that was now reverberating through the stars. But the Zyran had not yet given up. As they struggled to adapt, their ships began to fire upon the planet, unleashing devastating blasts that would have obliterated any other civilization. Yet, the laughter persisted, a shield protecting Earth from the onslaught. The energy was not just a force of destruction. It was also a force of protection, a defense created by the very essence of humanity's shared experience. Zer was growing desperate. His ships were faltering, their systems overwhelmed by the cosmic energy. The Zyran had always relied on their technological superiority, their advanced weaponry, and their ability to manipulate the fabric of space. But the humans had done something unexpected. They had turned their most basic emotion into the most powerful force in the universe. The Zyran could not comprehend how they had done it, but one thing was certain. Humanity was not to be underestimated. Zer stared at the holographic display of Earth, his mind grappling with the enormity of the situation. It was clear now that the Zyran could not win this battle. The laughter had become something more than a weapon. It was the key to a new future, a future where humanity had the power to shape the universe. The Zyran, for all their might, were no match for the force that now flowed from the planet. The laughter had become their salvation. And yet, even as victory seemed certain for Earth, there was still one question that lingered in the air. What would happen next? The Zyran might have underestimated humanity's power, but now that they had seen it firsthand, they would never forget. Earth had shown them that there was something far greater than technology, far more powerful than weapons, and far beyond the understanding of any alien race. The laughter had not just changed the battle, it had changed the universe.